Right, Leanne, let's smash
Let's
this.
go.
Let's do it! She had the devil on her show today, and now she sits here smiling. She's been in more clubs than Tiesto.
Guys, it's great to have you both on today.
Harley, please tell us about the person you're nominating.
There's so many women like Nadia within football businesses that don't ever get championed.
I'm really passionate about it. I want us to grow in the right way. And I came to Kings Meadow when there were like 200 people there.
Yeah.
And now to see that, sold out every single week, it's amazing. And I cry all the time about it.
Harley did not get anywhere near as many caps for England as she should have.
Did I want more caps? Of course I did. I would rather have been in that squad, in that dressing room, and to be sat at home and watching from afar. As soon as she crosses the right line, it's almost like the superhero suit comes in, she's Mary Up, she's on.
Elaine, you're something else.
Just seeing the amount of women as well that are coming to the sport. I'm just so excited about what the future of it is going to be. Elen Jackson for Great Britain. Oh yeah, here I come. Yes.
I'm going to do that to you next show. I'm going to bench Shaban.
Yes.
Hello, you, and welcome back to the Kickback. My name's Shabana Hearn. My evil twin sister, Rusha Littlejohn, is still crying under her bed. So, in for us again today is a legend of the Lioness world and talkSPORT broadcaster, Leanne Sanderson. Hi again. Thanks for being here. Coming up on today's show, we'll be speaking to ex-Chelsea and England goalkeeper Carly Telford for some reaction to the first games back after the international break. I've got a feeling it's going to be Chelsea heavy. Plus, she'll share the inspirational women she wants to nominate as part of the We See You network, brought to you by 3. Plus, you're in for a special treat. We're going to hear from Commonwealth medal winning powerlifter Elen Jackson on why women should take up strength training after she found the sport following her cancer diagnosis. Fascinating, infectious women. Stay tuned for all of that and more coming up on the Kickback. I feel like we're due a therapy session because...
I said to you just now, the amount of times I went to voice note you, message you, and I just thought there's nothing that I can say.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm just going to leave it. I really felt for you and your sister.
I know. In case you missed it, by the way, I left here last week, jumped on the flight to Heathrow, got to Dublin for Ireland versus Wales in the second leg of the playoff to get to the Euros. All credit to Wales because they did the job. You had Rhiannon Wilkins. She had the devil on her show today, and now she sits here smiling.
No, she's my old teammate with the Boston Breakers. So Rhiannon,
Oh, wow, you know everyone.
I know. I mean, I've played for a number of teams. If you look at my Wikipedia page,
More clubs than Tiger Woods. This one.
Why are you using my line? I was just about to say that.
She's been in more clubs than Tiesto.
No, but I was so, do you know what? It's so funny because I was like so proud of Rhiannon, like to go from being a club coach and then to manage Wales in the 9 months she's been in charge, and for them to qualify is incredible. I don't think anybody saw it coming. I even said that to her today, they were the underdogs massively, especially going to the Aviva, Republic of Ireland. When you look at their squad,
30,000 hadn't been to a World Cup,
and you were all over them. Ireland were all over them in the first half. They really were, but it just wasn't to be. And fair play to Wales and Rhiannon Wilkinson.
And do you know what, Leanne? Her remit fulfilled. She ticked off the job that she was brought in to do. Get us to a major tournament. They had that decision to make. They brought in a manager to do that. And for that, I respect it. Now, Ireland weren't ambitious in making the appointment of Eileen Gleeson after Vera Pauw had left from the World Cup. I love Eileen Gleeson. I think she's great. She's been part of the FAI for such a long time. But I feel that just now, just the women will be kicking themselves because they knew what they had to do and they couldn't get over the line.
But why do you think, though? What do you think went wrong?
I don't know.
Some people are questioning her team selection.
Yeah.
But, what went wrong? As an insider. I
think they could still be there now and still not manage to find the back of the net for the second time. And I actually thought with that final 10 minutes, Megan Campbell comes on with that throw-in, And for me, I'm like, it's too late. That has to be implemented sooner. And I think that's a shame. I think there was even the likes of, say, Megan Connolly, who's been great, over in Italy, not coming on till later in the game. I don't know. It wasn't their night. It wasn't going to be. And that's the hardest part of it, I think.
It's a shame that they had to play against each other in that playoff because we spoke about this
Scotland
on the show.
World Cup last time.
About, I never felt this mad hatred for the other nations like Scotland, Ireland, Wales. But when they played against us, they would always have this extra kind of endeavour against us. Whereas when I watched your sister and I'm watching Scotland and I'm watching Wales, I want them all to qualify because I just think it'd be better for us, obviously, as fans, and obviously your sister. And I really felt there's no words that can ever be said, is there? When you don't qualify for a major tournament, it's difficult.
And that's it. Russia wasn't part of the side that won against Scotland to go to the World Cup. She went to the World Cup, but she was injured in that playoff game. And I think, well, I know, and she's back next week, but I know that this has been the hardest thing that then's ever happened. And I look and go, don't worry, like you've had a great career, you've opened a World Cup, and now it's that, do I flirt with retirement?
Yeah.
I'm
a lot
not
of
even
them,
ready, you know.
For a lot of those players, you know, Denise O'Sullivan, Katie McCabe.
They'll be then in their 30s later.
Yeah, which you can still, I mean, these players are still top players, but I think it's one of those things when you're from a nation that doesn't really qualify. Look at Jess Fishlock. I mean,
20 years it's taken her.
And she goes off in the 60th minute. And I said that to Rian today, like your best player arguably goes off in the 60th minute. And I'm probably sure Republic of Ireland were thinking, here we go now, you know?
Yeah.
And Jess has had her injuries this season, but they still found the way. Sophie Ingles out with that ACL injury. And I thought it was a lovely touch that all of them run over to her at the end of the game, you know, when she was doing her punditry, because she would have been there had she not have torn her ACL. And the fact they went and got her and they took her away from the punditry, they said, she's coming with us. I thought that was a lovely touch.
I've got goosebumps. I just can't get over the emotions of it all. I sat next to my mum and I was up on my feet last 10 minutes. The housery starts from Wales. Credit to them that, you know, they've got possession. They'll take their time, and especially when they're leading. And I was screaming like a thug.
Nothing unusual for you.
And my mum was going, Shaban, stop, sit down. And I was like,
You know what, though? We spoke about that on the show last week, didn't we? About how when you're watching the games and it's your twin sister and you have that telepathy and like how it is for family members when they're watching. Because when you're playing, you don't really think about that. You just play the game. But it's difficult when everybody's there, like, and I just felt for you.
It's one of those things. On to the next.
On to the next.
Oh, hold on. I'm right. I'm visualising the Instagram posts from all the players when it comes. Not the result we were looking for, but we take the positives. Thanks to the fans, and on to the next.
I mean, it's robotic, isn't it? It's like predictable, especially with it. Men do it as well, though.
I know.
Do you remember that time when a couple of players actually had someone send them, say this?
Yeah.
And they actually, instead of editing it and cropping it, they actually wrote, why don't you say this, mate? And it actually went out there. Like, I just think, I mean, maybe that's why the FA never really liked how I was, because I think we, as professional footballers, should be able to just talk, right? After a game, if it's not been good enough, you say, it wasn't good enough, but we'll be better next time. It's not about slating anybody, but everyone just sounds like a robot.
I know. And considering robots are basically taking over the world, we should try and enjoy it while we are still here. Leanne, I'm looking forward to this show today. We've got a cracker coming up for you. Coming up for you on the Kickback, former Chelsea and England goalkeeper Carly Telford is with us in the studio. Hello, legend.
Hello. That's quite welcome. Don't mind legend. I'll keep that status. Thank you very
we'll
much.
say it to everyone.
Translate to me.
She gets all the time. How long before she says it? Do you know she won the Champions League?
Don't worry, we all know that.
It comes up now and then.
See, I didn't bring it up yet, you did.
That's true. It's my own fault. How are you? How's things? Welcome to the Kickback. It's nice to have you with us.
No, thank you for having me. It's been busy. It's a very busy time of year, not only because it's Christmas, but middle of season. Lots going on. Build up to Stamford Bridge games, Kings Meadow games, Champions League. So it's everything you want it to be, except I'm in the warmth and not on the pitch anymore, so I'm quite happy.
So Chelsea legend, played for the Lionesses, but now your role has kind of developed into part of Chelsea Football Club. Tell any of the fans who might not know about your situation now, what you're up to.
Yeah, so I retired last March. I had about 3 months of retirement, played a bit of golf, bit of paddle, drank lots of coffee.
Paddle. If I had one more person say paddle.
I was there before anyone else, can I just admit? Now it's become like the cool thing to do. And then about 3 months, well, when I was going to retire, Emma Hayes spoke to me and said, you need to tell me when you're going to retire. So I said to her, look, I'm thinking about it this summer. And she was like, I want to introduce you to someone. And we just employed a commercial director for the women's team. So I met Zara Al-Qudsi, who's now CRO of the new league. So I was working with her. She decided to meet me for a coffee and employ me as a commercial manager for the women's team. So my title sounds very fluffy, but I'm basically a salesperson. So it's my job to sell the women's team to brands and investors throughout this country and other countries that want to be involved. So I feel very privileged. I get to tell the journey and the story of what Chelsea is and what it's like to be an amateur, semi-professional, and what what eventually was a professional footballer, and what it's like now, and kind of how the game's grown hugely, and investment is always needed within the game to help it keep growing. So, yeah, that is my job.
Good.
Most people might not know this, but me and Carly grew up together at younger national teams at England.
Yeah.
We've been to World Cups together. Another person.
Another one she knows.
Of course. But like, what was it like kind of still playing when the women's game was kind of obviously winning the Euros, that type of stuff?
Yeah.
Like, because obviously we used to get battered by Germany. I say it all the time. Got beat like, was
And that one
6-2
World
in
Cup,
the-
mate, that bronze medal.
Bronze
never
medal,
forget it,
apart
right?
from them, but we got beat 6-2 in the Euros in Finland. Then we got beat 3-0 at Wembley, the one game in 10 years it was at Wembley. And then like now you've kind of been in it when you've won.
Yeah.
So what was that like?
Well, it was insane. Like, I was in America playing when the girls obviously were at the Euros, and I decided to I'd had a conversation with Serena about not playing for England at this point when she joined. Look, we had Ellie, Hannah, Mary, Sandy, all chomping at the bit and doing so well. It's
crazy.
And I was kind of like, I was third choice at Chelsea. I wasn't really, it sounds bad, not playing wasn't the thing. I was more helping like Sachiran and Katrin get ready for games. Like, that was my thing.
I'm not laughing like
I
that,
was like,
but you. I say this all the time to players like Gilly as well. Like, Carly did not get anywhere near as many caps for England as she should have.
Should have done.
Yeah.
Nowhere near.
And like, look, but I had Karen Bardsley and like Siobhan Chamberlain, and then people coming in around, and it's like, it's controversial. And did I want more caps? Of course I did. Was I in a space where I don't get to make that choice? That's up to the people in charge, right? But like, I was 35, and Serena was going like, we need the experience, and I was like, being like, I'd love to, but I just don't think I've got like enough in me to give you what you need and the girls what they need. And like, say the girls are brilliant, and they went on and won the Euros. Like, you can't argue the fact that was absolutely correct. Serena had the conversation with me, but to watch them go and do, and obviously Casey Stoney was my manager, so Casey had gone through all that, again, very much our generation. And we was on the plane coming back from a game, and we were both in tears because we knew that it was going to completely change not only the lives of those women in that changing room, but for girls, for the rest of their lives, and everyone that surrounded it. We probably wouldn't be sat here having this conversation if it wasn't for that.
Like, losing and knowing what it meant to play for England, and it was always focused on like winning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we never did, apart from the bronze medal, which is still amazing.
We spoke so much about it, and it was kind of like, what did Germany and USA have over us? Like, they believed they had like a good culture, all these things we talk about, but how do you bottle that up and put it on a pitch? And I just think that, it was like, through everything, the characters, the blend of like the older girls, the younger players, like whatever it was, there was just a bit of magic in that squad that made it happen, and put then the country behind it, the fans, like being at home, like it is the home of football. Like, it just was so special. So I was watching it from afar, and people were like, oh, do you not wish you just said, no, my time had come and gone. It was time for someone else to do that. And they did it. And it's like, I'm incredibly proud to say I was part of that journey, probably like Leanne, and our times came, we had our moments and we didn't take them. And that's just how it is. And that's how football is. And there was probably better players than us that also missed those opportunities. So like, for the girls who've gone and done that, and like for those doors to now have been opened, it's fantastic for everyone.
Do you know what though, Carly? I still don't know how goalkeepers do this, right? Because as an outfield player, when you're on the bench, you know you're coming in at some point, potentially as a forward, right? If you're second or third choice keeper, like psychologically, like how do you it's amazing to play for your country. It's the best privilege ever. But like, how do you psychologically, like, if you're a second or third and you know it's going to take something happening, really, an injury or a mistake, the goalkeeper goes in. Like, how did you do that for so many years?
It's pretty mental, really, when you think about it. But I just loved it. Like, I got left out of squads as well, like that Finland 2013 Euros. Hope left me out of that squad, and I just thought to myself at that point, like, I don't want to be sat at home. I'd rather go with that squad, and if I was sat on the bench, I'd rather be there than miss out completely. So I was like, I will give it my all. And again, it's out. You learn very quickly as a footballer that like opinions around you don't matter. The opinions that do are your family and friends. Even the manager, like, you can only do so much. But if a manager doesn't like the way you play, the way you are, like, that's just how it is. And you can do everything you can. But I would rather have been in that squad, in that dressing room, as a player, as number one is the thing I wanted to be, but 13, 21, whatever it was as a Lioness, than to be sat at home and watching from afar. So I did my utmost to be in every squad I could. And play that support.
Because it's easier said than done. Because I found it difficult. And I think mostly the reason why I found it difficult is because coaches didn't really have the best communication. If a coach communicates with you and says, you're not going to be playing. You're not going to be happy, are you?
No.
But the lack of communication, I think, thankfully in the women's game, I think it's got better.
Yep.
Because that's great that Serena had that conversation with you when you were playing over in San Diego.
And I think she continued that like multiple throughout like her tenure in terms of like, I think that's been a consistent thing from Serena. But communication was huge. Like it was a difficult position to be in when I knew like maybe I was playing and that other goalkeeper wasn't, but she was still playing ahead of me. Like how do you deal with that? Like, and my thing was like, do my toys come out the pram? No. Like, do I want to be on that plane, go into a World Cup, go into a Euros, being with my friends, making memories? Like, absolutely. And you know what it is? You never know what's going to happen. 2019 World Cup, KB gets injured. All of a sudden, not only have I got my first World Cup cap against Argentina, second game in, and we won. All of a sudden, I was playing in a semi-final of a World Cup. So my mentality was like, if I'd just been like chucked it all out and be like, I'm chilling, it's a holiday, I'm a second, third choice. I come to that game, I'd absolutely pooed myself. Like I said, I had no capacity. I had not trained properly. So I got in there and I knew I was ready for that moment. And you could argue that I'd trained for it since I was like 18 because technically I had, right? Like it's but it's all at moment. Like football's about moments. Like whether you're scoring the goal, saving the shot, the penalty, whatever it is. Like especially elite football, elite sport, it is about moments, and that's what you get remembered for.
That's it. Like at the World Cup in 2015 when we won the bronze, I was absolutely fuming. I got benched. I played every minute up until the World Cup. But he didn't have a conversation with me, and that was the biggest problem. But I always knew there would be a moment, and you're right. It's hard to stay in it when a coach isn't communicating with you. But then when I came on in that game, I was like the third choice off the bench. I knew there'd be a moment, and I won the penalty, and then Farah could step up and take it. But all these girls, everybody, we were such a good team, weren't we? Together, we had a lot of banter off the pitch. We had like videos that went viral, I think, much to the dismay of the FA, because there was one of us going up, remember the escalator?
Yeah, seeing
we were doing like Colo Touré chanting and the Yaya Touré one. And it was just memories you can't bring back. And I don't miss playing, but I do miss that camaraderie. When you win something, even when you lose, you learn a lot about each other. But we all grew up together. I used to see Carly and Jill and all the girls more than I saw my own family from a young age.
Especially if you're in a team together. So like if you're Arsenal, Chelsea, whatever, like you live and breathe, you literally are family. And when I say you're family, it means that not everyone always likes each other. But when it comes to like the main event and the party, everyone just has to get on for those 90 minutes and then you'll get to go and do your thing again. Because it is like you can't create perfect harmony. Like we are 25 women that all want to be starters, all want to win things, but everyone, and it comes down to communication and leadership. If you can make everyone feel as valuable as each other within that dressing room, you'll be successful, and that's key to it.
Do you think that's slightly an issue just now in the England camp? Is everything harmonious? Because like you say, what happened with the Euros changed things overnight. These women were thrust into the spotlight. Many of us knew who they were for so many years, but life changed for them overnight. Is that more difficult to have harmony when there's more media focus?
Yes and no. Look, British media is British media. We know what they're like. They love to put people up and then see how quickly they can chop them down, and that's individuals and collectives. But for me, I'm like, I think about American when we were trying to beat America. Like, when you are the best, everyone ups their game. Everyone wants to beat the best. One, they're getting more money. We were the same. We played England, USA, Germany. They had more money than us. They got paid. They had better kit than us.
They're allowed to wear their own clothes.
We want to prove. So you think now, like, that is England. Everyone wants to be England. So whether you're ranked 20th in the world, 50th in the world, if you get a chance to get on that pitch and go against the best and prove something and walk away with a point, or you didn't concede as many as you thought you were going to, it's a success. If we haven't banged in 6 goals, there's problems. We're not scoring. The setup's wrong. Serena's making bad decisions. Like, she's probably making similar decisions to what she was like before the Euros, except now there's so much more spotlight, so much more media, so much more criticism. And I just think that's like, it's a transition, right? You lose a few of the older girls, there's a little bit of balance. Those new ones that now are the older girls have to take that kind of leadership role. And what does that look like? But look, she's tried a couple of different things. We're bedding in some new talent. And I think it's exciting to see that. So it's just what it's going to look like in 7 months' time now when they step out. But for me, I'm not worried about it. Like, it's just part of the transition of the game. I just think that we've got time is shorter than what it was, and we're running out of time to test things. But look, in Serena, we trusted like a year ago. Why all of a sudden are we not? We've had a couple of dodgy results, but they're the best in the world, or the best in Europe for a reason, and everyone's going to keep going after them.
The goalkeeper situation, though, particularly with you with us today, is a fascinating one.
It is, yeah.
Because how have you got Mary Earps now maybe looking at second choice, but Hannah Hampton, as a Chelsea person yourself, considering she was almost taken out of Serena's squad, left out of Serena's squad a bit of time ago to go and work on herself, whatever that meant.
I didn't like that, by the way, either. Like, I didn't like all those whispers around what was going on at Aston Villa when she was there. I think
she was left out of one of those squads as well.
And there was a lot of talk, and she wasn't really able to I didn't feel like she ever really said anything about what happened.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Maybe it was, what was that, Carly? I mean, I guess we can't share too much.
No, and I
but-
just think it's, look, we're all going to go, except now it's like, I mean, we probably went through things where like we were dropped or we were left out of things, but wasn't a media talking about it. There wasn't a press conference every week where you're asked about it. So why isn't Hannah in? And then manager feels like, manager feels like she has to answer the question, right? So then how do you put it in a way that you want to protect your player, but also protect your squad? So there's politics around it as well, right? Now, like all of us have grown up, like we forget that Hannah's 22 years old. Like again,
she's
still young,
baby,
she's still learning a lot, like a lot of the girls. And like say she's grown up a lot and coming to Chelsea's been good for her in that regard. And the goalkeeping fascinates me. Like I love it. Like it's like people always ask why didn't I coach? It's because I don't want to be out in this weather for longer hours, not getting paid a lot of
never
money.
mind that.
But I love it. I actually adore it because like they all have so many different things to give, and they're all very different individually, but also how they operate around the goal to get the technicalities of it. But for me, when it comes to England, it's about, like, again, it's moments, right? And I think for me, Mary has shown in moments she can show up. What she's doing in club at the minute is very hard, like being in a different country. We don't get to see as much of what she's doing. The spotlight's not as visible, whereas Hannah, it is. And I said to Hannah, like, it's very hard when you go from a club, like when I was at Notts County to going to Chelsea, like I was so busy all the time at Notts County because we were getting peppered all the time. So even if I made a mistake, I'd made another 3 saves. So everyone actually forgets about mistakes. I'd made 3 saves, right? Chelsea, you get 3 shots, you concede 1, everyone's going, oh, could she have done better? Could she, same with England. All of a sudden now England, we're not making as many saves because it's about those moments. It's like, can you stand up in those moments? And I just think with Hannah, it's just learning that what are you like in those moments? That one cross, that one take, that one save. And Mary's mastered that. Took her some time as well, but she is present in those moments and is able, whether it's a mental or technical and tactical thing, like she is available. And you've seen that at Wembley.
I like both of them, but I also think Mary is, I don't know, I just think it's her swagger, her confidence. I think Hannah Hampton, like you say, Carly, she's still only 22, but I think if this Euros were tomorrow, I'll be starting Mary Earps. And I didn't really understand the move to Paris. I didn't really get that.
Well, she
I
wants
think
Champions League football, and that didn't work
she could have gone anywhere.
But
She literally could have gone anywhere. You know, and I think, like Carly said, when you go to certain leagues where it's not visible, I'd like to think Serena Wiegman's not really like that because she's gone over to America. She's picked Esme Morgan when she's playing over in the Washington Spirit. You know, Serena's not that type of coach where when I played and Jodie Taylor and Rachel Daly was in America, there were times where I felt like, oh, are they going to see me play? You know, it was detrimental, whereas I think that's moved on.
Yeah, I don't mean in regards that she won't be seen, but I just mean in terms of media. Like when you're in Man United and everyone's talking about WSL, everyone will talk about you every week. But when you're in PSG, like we won't see it. WSL show, are they talking about Mary playing? Probably not. So then it's how do we keep track and we just see her at England and it's like, oh, Mary's back, like how's she going to be? Yeah. But I think it was like Mary didn't always have that swagger about her either. Like she's learned to carry that, but also she's found a personality that works for her and the thing that makes her feel like as soon as she crosses the right line, it's almost like the superhero suit comes in, she's Mary Earps, she's on. And that is her. Like she's not strutting around in training as much like that, but it's like, it's almost like that's her thing. I mean, she is sometimes
like a show.
It is. It's like it's a show thing, and like you can argue maybe he's a bit like Jordan Pickfordish. Like he has that thing about him where like Everton, he's maybe a little bit different, but he gets in that England kind of strip, and he's like a different person. But it works for Merps, and it makes her perform for England, and that's all you want, right? And it's the same with Hannah. Hannah will find what works for her, but it'll take time, and it comes from experience and figuring that out. And like she will have her time. But
it must be difficult though at camp because like obviously there was that team selection who was going to play against USA. Then obviously Mary got the call, but like Hannah, it's difficult. It must be difficult dynamics because you guys always go out training way before everybody else. They're together all the time. Like Carly said, you respect all your teammates, but you might not get along with everybody. But the goalkeepers union is like they're with each other 24/7. They're eating lunch before all of us because they're going out early. So that dynamic,
it's a super cool. It's a really interesting dynamic, and then it's how you're basically like trying to coach each other, better each other, but you want each other's spots. So you don't want to help each other too much, but you need to be able to for the team to perform, or else like it doesn't work. So it's a very interesting dynamic, and I would love to be in there. And that you've got like for me, like one of my favourite stories this week is hearing that Ellie Roebuck's back. Like for me, I'm like Els is not only just a great person, but she's a fantastic goalkeeper. So you chuck her in the mix now, and I'm like,
that would have been starting in the Euros. Had she hadn't got injured, and then Mary Earps took the opportunity. People don't realise that. Like Ellie Roebuck was the number one. And then got injured. Fair play to Mary. Took the opportunity, and then no one really remembers.
It's great to have so many keepers where Syria can look and go, give herself, I've got a good problem to have here. And
it's not always been the thing either. Like, and it does worry me after kind of that pack of goalkeepers. You got Kiara Keaton as well. She's now back playing for City, which is
Yeah.
another thing. She was struggling to get game time from off the back of another injury. So that kind of collective now is like you've got Mary leading the charge in her experience and what she's done, is rightly so not willing to just give up €1 and walk away.
She takes on Nike. She's
Exactly,
like, make my shirt.
She's
I can't believe that wasn't even available. Like,
But
it's
then
crazy
other
to
people
even
might
think
not
about.
be in the situation to feel empowered enough to go, I'm going to say this. Like, Mary Earp's an absolute queen.
Yeah, and exactly, and it's who's willing to step into that role and ready to take that on. And I just think that we're in a very privileged position with have multiple goalkeepers if that needs to happen. And they're an exciting bunch. They've all got separate personalities. They're all got different ways of playing. They bring something different to that group and that team as well. So I'm excited to see how that evolves and what kind of happens in the next few months with that, because it's a good battle to have, and Serena will make the right decision, whatever that will be.
I love your enthusiasm as a goalkeeper. It's perfect.
The GK unit.
Shall we talk about Chelsea and the WSL quickly? Because an interesting wee weekend. Was that 4 games where 4 teams had scored 4 goals? That doesn't really happen. It must be a sign. Put the lottery on. But let's start with Chelsea.
Yep.
There were some fragilities in that game. They did concede a couple, but go on to get the 3 points. Is this where we might start see at this stage of the season little cracks appearing, or do you think there are no cracks?
The media would love to see
No cracks.
appearing now.
Still
I think
cracks.
You just look,
I-
nah, man. You just look at it like both teams. Like Sonia summed it up perfectly. It's like both teams tried to play the way they believed to play, except what they were competing with was the damn conditions, which we have done for 2 weeks
Festival,
now.
man.
Which was arguably why they shouldn't have maybe done it as much. Is like it's blown a hoolie, it's chucking it down. It's
I love that saying.
Sorry for that. It's
love
just like
that
there's a lot of wind, and it's also both teams are pressing. So I'm like.
And Brighton
you
are doing
guys
bits, though.
Yeah,
Brighton
that's
have,
what I
like,
mean. They've
been
got
good.
good players and they can execute and they're switched on. So I'm like, is it worth that risk in certain parts of the game? But what I loved is that both teams went and tried it. And yes, it meant there was goals for me watching. I was like, this is great until it got a bit close and I was like, I don't want to keep that record, Sonia. But yeah, look, the team believe in it. Like Chelsea's a club at the minute. They've just got this mentality of kind of like, if we concede, it's fine. You score 1, we'll score 2. You score 2, we'll score 3. We don't want to concede, and that's how they're drilled. And we always have been as a Chelsea, because defence wins you titles at the end of the day. Like the goal scorers will argue that
I was about to say.
but like at the end of the day, it's like clean sheets do win you titles. So we hang our hats on that and we're very proud of that. So yeah, Sonia will no doubt be addressing those issues within there. But I don't think they're cracks. I just think there's a couple of bits of rotations, a couple of new things they'll be trying, because we're building into trophy season. In 2 months, hopefully we'll be going for our first trophy in that Continental Cup or League Cup, whatever you want to call it. And then from then on, it's like it is when you play for Chelsea, Arsenal, City. Is like this league's so tight, you just can't lose. Like, it just doesn't, like, once you've lost one game.
So tight at the top, though. This is the
Yeah.
thing. Like, I think Chelsea have been unbelievable. I think Emma Hayes' foundations that she laid down, but Sonia Bonpastor has just gone in there. There was pressure on her because she's gone in there, arguably one of the best coaches ever, and it's not really skipped a beat. And I think what I see is the players look like they almost needed a little bit of freshening up. Tactically, it looks like it's changed a little bit, just a few little tweaks, but like, Sonia Bonpastor has done an amazing job. But I think, we talk about the top of the league, but you look at the bottom of the WSL, like I spoke about it on my show today, like we're seeing a Super League form within the league. You've got Crystal Palace, Leicester, West Ham down there. It's like, do we get to a point where we start having 2 or 3 teams getting relegated and then other people coming up, but then Palace have come up and they haven't really done anything. So it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. I think for me, I'm just like, but that is what a league's meant to be. We're like, oh, it's the top breaking away from
But
the bottom. I'm
NWSL
like,
is not like that though. NWSL is like more, they have obviously the free agency, they have all those things.
But you also have that thing where like the draft and stuff as well. So it'll be interesting now there's no draft.
No draft.
How that then works. Is it like, again, is it going to become who has the most money gets the best players? Like, is that how it works? Whereas for me with our league, I'm like, it just starts representing what football does look like, right? So you look at the distance between whoever's at Liverpool at the top and the bottom of the league. It's 20 points difference. It happens. Like, there's the best and there's the people at the bottom.
But I still think in the Premier League, though, you can compete. Like, I just think Crystal Palace getting beat 7-0.
No, you're right. But
Chelsea.
it's still like the week later, like Palace go and beat or like beat
Leicester.
someone to a draw. Like it's not. And again, when you come up, it's a huge difference from WSL to that. It's a big difference. So you have to get used to that as a manager. What can and can't I do? And it's learning. And the problem is, with NWSL, you can learn, you don't get relegated. So people are doing mad stuff all the time. Here, you learn very quickly that if you don't learn quickly, you're gone. Like,
Exactly.
Because, again, when you lose games in this league, it's very hard to then get them back. The league's so short, the games, are so intense.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you combat that? But I'm like, having relegation promotion is the best thing about it. We don't want to like keep it like and turn it into the NWSL, which I had this conversation when I was in San Diego. It's like that threat of that kind of like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if we lose. It means we're going to get the best.
To get relegated, though. I think West Ham and Everton and Leicester and those types of teams, I think got away with it last year because Bristol was so bad. So I'm saying I don't want him to get rid of relegation. I think it would be almost better. Then I'm contradicting myself because then if more teams come up from the Championship, they could do what Bristol and Crystal Palace do. But I don't know what the answer is. I don't have all the answers.
I think it's a bit more time, bit more money, bit more investment. And
I think then growing, like adding an extra team in would help. That like so 2 teams up, 1 team down.
Would be,
like let's grow it. Let's like say that and allow teams to keep investing.
Salary cap? Potentially. You're not a big fan of that?
No, I'm Chelsea, innit? No, I'm only kidding. Everyone has a salary cap in some sort of way, right? Like, but our owners aren't letting us just go and spend frivolously because they're like, what is the return? We're a business at the end of the day. It's not free money. But I just think there has to be some help from sponsors, which is my job, but also from league sponsors, TV revenue, media, etc. as the game grows. And that has to be drip fed into those teams. I remember having a conversation when Notts County went under. So when my club, the owner decided to just pull the plug on the whole team and it was gone. And I remember when I then signed for Chelsea because they didn't have a goalkeeper and they were like, Carl, can you come and play for us? And I was like, yeah. And Emma was like, why didn't you guys tell us? And I was like, what the hell do you mean? So at that point, the FA would give money to the clubs, to all the clubs. I don't know how much it was, whatever, like 250 grand, whatever. Each club will get it. And she was like, we didn't need it. We would have more given it to the teams that needed it, lower down the pecking order to help because it helps everyone grow, right? And I don't know if that still exists, but I'm just like, how is it that we make sure that sponsorship, we are the most, we have been on we've been on TV most out of anyone this season, which is great. And yes, rightly so, we should get a good cut of the pie. But also, how do we make sure that it goes to other teams in Championship, whatever, so that everyone's still growing together? Because you don't want that separation to become too big. Yeah. The league has to grow, the competition has to be high, it has to be a product that people watch, not just watch Chelsea Arsenal, not just watch Chelsea City or whatever it is. Watch Palace West Ham because they're good games, because it's good to watch, there's good athletes in there, it's a good product. So I think we have a responsibility as a group of teams as well to keep maintaining and knocking on that door. And
I just got triggered when she said Notts County because it went viral again this year. I was in the wall when Bass and Ellen and Carly, you must have seen the free kick. It's out there on YouTube. Right, it's Notts County against Arsenal. They did the most incredible set piece and it's every single year it comes back to haunt me again. And I think it's another anniversary of it now. Yeah. So anyone that wants to see it, you'll see me in the wall with the mohawk, and most people know that I shouldn't ever be in a wall.
Thankfully it wasn't you. I think this poor little Jordan Nobbs who ran and jumps over it. I was like,
Nobbs charged it, I mean, I get tweeted every
Bernie was kicking over, Bernie was going off it, but it was a great set piece. The girls like pretend to argue and whatever, and everyone gets distracted, and then like you just whip it in bottom corner. But
Google it. By the way, just on your subject of San Diego and your mate Casey Stoney, why haven't Arsenal appointed a head coach yet? Rennie's now won 7 out of the 8 games in charge. She said she doesn't want the game. Nick Cushion's lost his job in the MLS. Carly, give us some answers.
No worries. I just think it's quite a complicated one, right? Like I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but for me, I'm like, if Rennie's doing the job, like, allow her to keep doing the job. The girls seem happy. They're playing well. They're scoring goals. They're keeping clean sheets. They seem to have a bit of harmony within the group. For me, I'm like, I don't really understand what the problem is with that. But I guess, are they looking for that kind of big signature signing that they can make that really puts a big stamp on things like a Sonia? Like, is there someone out there they can take from somewhere else, someone in the NWSL? And I don't know what Casey's thing is like, she's moved around a lot. She has kids. Does she want to keep moving back and forward?
I'd like to see Casey at Arsenal. I can't see it happening. No. But I would like to see her there. I think Renee Segers, the thing is, you know what it's like. I loved every assistant coach I've ever had. Yeah. Renee was the assistant before, took over as the head coach because they're always that person that say, you should be playing if I was the manager. Interesting to see now the dynamics have changed, but she's doing an amazing job. Yeah. And obviously, I don't think Arsenal expected Jonas Eidevall to leave in that way. Yeah. It was a mutual agreement, but I don't think they expected that. But I think Casey Stoney should have been given this job already, even before. You know, Renee Segers now has done the job, so she deserves it, really. I mean, unbeaten. Knows her 11.
She doesn't want it.
Then Casey
I see that
should
women out in the town with our little kids, and I think, my God.
But you have everyone living near you, don't you?
Are you following her?
Hello, Rennie.
Saw Alessia Russo last week in the coffee shop.
Yeah. So you see them all. You see them all.
Quite well for this show, isn't you?
The Rennie one is fascinating, but she had said she didn't want the job.
Yeah, which is fair enough. Like everyone has a kind of path in their head that they want to take, and maybe she's just not ready for that yet, and that's also fine. And maybe her position is that I enjoy assisting, like I'm happy to fill in while Arsenal take their time and looking for that kind of perfect fit. Because let's be honest, like for me, that squad has been too good to not win enough trophies. And I'm saying that as a Chelsea player. And like we've sat in a dressing room together and been like, how are they not winning more?
Yeah.
And obviously something hasn't been right? So now it's about like they have to get it right. They've invested on and off the pitch. So it's about maybe that missing piece. And if it is the manager, who is it and what's the best fit? And again, you can't rush these things, right? Because you're tying them into 2-3 years of something. It's not a 6 months and see how they go. You can't do that with a manager. It just settles everyone. So it's going to be a big chunk that they're going to put down for someone. And who is that person?
And who's going to win them the County Cup again?
Yeah,
Keep it off you, Chelsea now. Because that'll be a right battle for the Arsenal in the County Cup.
Yeah.
Oh, shady from me. Listen, we're going to get your nomination for the We See You Network campaign very, very soon. But let's just focus quickly on that kind of bottom half of the table. talkSPORT caught up with Everton midfielder Claire Wheeler about the team's start to the season and keeping momentum going, heading into the final games before Christmas.
You know, we've been unlucky with some results, a couple of draws, and then also with some injuries early on in the season. But you know, throughout it all, we haven't, lost, anything with the culture. If anything, it's brought us together more. And I think going into this, last few games before Christmas, we're ready to kick it up a gear and, get back on the front foot.
You used the word momentum there. How difficult can it be to build it sometimes? Because, as you know, we've just had the international break and it's not every Sunday that there's a game that takes place in the league, is it? Yeah,
definitely. I think with international, obviously it's hard, people going away. I think also when you have some of the cup games in between, it's definitely hard to keep being just focused on the league sometimes. But, I think it's just part of being a footballer and how the modern leagues are kind of set, that you need to be able to switch in and out of different tactics and just kind of tackle each game as they come.
Everton's Claire Wheeler, they're just on the subject, Carly, of Everton. Courtney Brosnan in goal. I feel she deserves a big move. What an amazing goalkeeper she is.
She is, and she's having a great season. And, like, talk about moments, like, that is the life of a goalkeeper, right? She's having a fantastic season for Everton, and then you go away and you're feeling so confident for your country in this big game, and then one moment and all of a sudden, but the bounce back's been great again. Like, it's another good game at the weekend, but it's just a difficult place to live in. And I don't know what she wants to do either. Like, does she want that big move? Or is part of being at Everton and helping grow that brand there, is that where she's comfortable? Big thing for me was always my goalkeeping coach. Like, if they develop me in a way that they don't exist, there's not a lot of them that exist at a high level, and if they're developing her, making her feel good, like, do you want to leave that for that uncertainty of, one, the coach, and two, are you going to play at a big club as well? So I think she'll be well cottoned onto what she wants to do, but I'm excited to see how she goes this season, because I think she'll play a huge part in where they finish this year.
Yeah. My sister calls her Courtney de Brosnan, KDB. She's that good.
Wait, that doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't, I know.
I was trying to work out.
It's just
like
Courtney Brosnan. But it's a C, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
But this is Rusha, you see. This is why she's not here today. She's still in the English class. Yeah, bless her. She can't count to 10. Carly, we know you're a big supporter of the We See You Network, and coming up, we're going to hear all about who you will be nominating. 3's We See You Network inspires the recognition and celebration of women across the sports industry. 3 are encouraging people to celebrate the inspirational work of women in their own network by nominating them or themselves for the chance to participate in once-in-a-lifetime experiences. This opportunity is open for all women involved in any aspect of football at any level. It's brilliant, from passionate players and media masterminds to committed coaches. So each week, we're asking our guests to nominate their unsung hero who has either had an influence on their career or on the women's game. So Carly, please tell us about the person you're nominating and the impact that they've had on your career so far.
Gladly. So I'm nominating Nadia Shirastani. So Nadia has been at Chelsea for about 20 years. Started probably in hospitality, or did start in hospitality, and has kind of worked her way through the business and worked a lot in the men's side. Last year when I joined, there was me, Zara, and Nadia solely working on women. So we were the only part of the business looking at the women's side. And Nadia runs ticketing and revenue. So she is in charge of kind of how we're selling tickets, but also then all the revenue sits around that from hospitality, and then how we lead into sponsorship. But for me, I'm like, Nadia looks after me as well. Like I wasn't great on Excel and spreadsheets and all the kind of
Me neither.
organisational stuff. So she has been so patient with me. But for me, I just feel like there's so many women like Nadia within football businesses that don't ever get championed, are kind of like the unsung heroes. So for me, I just wanted to say one, thank you, and to make sure that she gets a shout out and kind of the credit she deserves for what she does. So thanks to Nadia for looking after me a lot of the time, but also like thanks for championing the women's game and women within football, because I know it's probably been a very difficult battle at times, but I hope it's worth it working with me now.
And I'm pleased to say that Nadia Sheristani is dialing in now. Nadia, congratulations. That must be nice to hear that from Carly. And tell us, what's she really like?
Well, she is exactly like this. I was just listening in going, oh, it's so nice listening to Carly talk so passionate about it. But yeah, this is Carly. It couldn't be more of a pleasure to work with someone who is so passionate, so knowledgeable. Yeah, she hasn't paid me. It's due later in the week. We've got Christmas drinks, so I'll get the payment then. But yeah, I was definitely blushing when you were talking about me there, Carly.
What was the standout moment for you, Nadia, when you watched Carly kind of make that move from goalkeeper into her role at the club? What was it that you saw? You thought, I want to work with her. I want to help her along on this journey.
You know what? It's having that passion and that knowledge of what the growth of women's football has been. And, you know, Carly mentioned it earlier when you guys were chatting that we have to start viewing it commercially, and having someone who could kind of tell that story of what's so special about women's football, how we can help it grow and grow in the right way, not just copying over from the men's game. I was like, yeah, I want to be part of that. I want to work with someone who can tell that story.
Nadia, congratulations. Thanks for coming on the show. I just wanted to ask you, like, you've been at Chelsea for 20 years. Like, it must feel so good to see how far the women's game has come in that time. Because when I was at the club, we were close to, like, folding. If it wasn't for John Terry, you know, his daughter was in the academy, then they got us the kids. So you've seen everything. And now to see where it's at, it's thanks to people like you.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's the best feeling in the world. Like Carly will tell you, when we played Arsenal in March, that felt like a real turning point game for us at Stamford Bridge. It was kind of our biggest ever crowd. The atmosphere was amazing. And I cried. And then I cried again when we played Barcelona and had a sellout. So I'm really passionate about it. I want us to grow in the right way. And I can look back on, you know, I came to Kingsmeadow when there were like 200 people there.
Yeah.
And now to see that, you know, sold out every single week, but translate that into big Stamford Bridge games as well and have the same kind of support, the same kind of atmosphere. It's amazing. And I cry all the time about it, but like they're happy tears.
Oh, good for you, Nadia. I'm so glad that you've got this chance. And that's what's beautiful about this campaign, is that it's people like Carly, who we know, who we've watched for many years, now getting her say to shine the light on the people who maybe don't get the recognition. And it's not an easy job, is it? What would be the dream for you with Chelsea and ticketing week in, week out? What would be the dream? Is it to fill out Stamford Bridge?
Always to fill out Stamford Bridge. I'd love to see that. It's similar in the journey that Arsenal are taking, right? You know, more and more games there, for that to feel like the home for the players, the home for the supporters, for brands to get on board with it, and for it to be a really different experience to coming to one of our men's games. The fan base is different. They want something different. We can create something special. And it's like I was saying to our new women's CEO yesterday, it can be football 2.0. It can be better. It can be more fun. The joy is there. And that's the dream for me, just to create something that is as unique as it is on the pitch, to match that experience off the pitch.
Oh, Carly, Nadia, you're a cool match. And Nadia, can you do me a favour, just while we've got you, give me your skincare routine, because you look about 20, never mind 20 years working at Chelsea. You look great.
Thank you. Not a filter. Korean skincare, that's the one.
Perfect. That's all I needed to hear. Nadia, congratulations. Well done you. Carly, just to
Thank you.
Finish with you quickly, asking how it feels to be part of the We See You network. How important is it to have these moments?
It's huge. Look, 3 were a front shirt sponsor for the men's and women's team, and when they decided to stay with us as a women's only partner, like I've worked with Ollie quite closely, and he just gets it. Like he wants women to feel seen in all parts of the business. Like it's not just about the girls on the pitch as much as it is, and we celebrate them daily.
Mm-hmm.
It's about women that are around it, and not everyone's going to be a professional footballer. Not everyone's going to make it. So how do we celebrate those women that are at grassroots level, that are in the business, within the business, surrounding the business to make it successful? So I think We See You Network sits in a place where it's not spoken about enough for me. I think we can champion it more, and I think there should be more spaces for women to champion each other, so that we can make girls and women that don't necessarily want to play the game but be part of the game, and show them that there's opportunity throughout the game to be able to do that. And as much as you guys are doing fantastic, not everybody wants to be presenters either. So then how do we divert and keep women within the sport so that they feel like they're empowered, they're engaged, and they're doing something they love and they're passionate about it? Like Nadia's loved football her whole life but was hidden away in hospitality, and now she's changing the game.
Like, this is what's so good about this campaign. That everybody's chosen different people, and a lot of the people behind the scenes, but they're making moves for us to be able to for players to be able to be there, right? Like when you step away, you don't realise how much happens on a match day. There's people getting to the ground like 7 o'clock in the morning to make sure everything's ready, and you just kind of turn up as a player. That's why I think this campaign is so good, because I had no idea what Nadia was doing. She probably likes it that way. So I'm glad you're giving her kind of the
for real. And there's so many women out there like that, and I just want, like, Nadia's one of many. So the We See You Network is exactly for their moments and for those women. I think last year we had our photographer, like Harriet had been taking photography since she was like 17, like young, and now she's like still been with the women's team. She's like 20, she's just 25. And I'm like, how are you still that young? She's been with us so long. But like, again, she's the one that puts all the pictures on Instagram, but no one gives any credit to her. And I'm like, she's there every day, wind, rain, games, travel. I'm like, we've got to tell the story about these women that are here. And I'm just like so proud that the We See You Network allows us to do that. But they champion women throughout the business, and I'm very proud to work with them.
That's lovely, and that's the point. Don't forget, we want to hear your We See You Network nominations too. It's all lovely stuff. Go to the We See You Network Hub link in the description to make your nomination now. Carly, Telford, I just feel like we've not even scratched the surface of like the chat that we could have had there. So we're going to go to the pub soon. Carly, thank you very much for coming in. You've been a joy.
Been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's been great being reunited. Not on the football pitch.
I know. Maybe one day. My knees are shot.
That'll be a good watch.
No one needs to see that.
It'll be fun. Thanks, guys.
Now, the International Weightlifting Federation World Championships have just kicked off in Bahrain, with many women around the world taking part. But our next guest is on a mission to encourage women to take up powerlifting. Elen Jackson started strength training at the age of 30 after she was diagnosed with cancer. And this year, age 54, she's brought home multiple silver medals for England at the Commonwealth Championships in South Africa. Elen, you're something else. You're walking in the room and everyone's smiling. The energy's great.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Your story is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all very quickly become obsessed with you up in the green room.
Yeah, it's true. Everyone was talking about you.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
understand why.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, tell us about your journey, firstly. if you
Yeah,
don't mind.
so like as you said, it started from 30. I had cancer when I was 30. I had uterine cancer and cervical cancer. And at the time, I asked my surgeon, what could I do to help myself? Because I've always loved exercising. And he said, weight-bearing exercises. So after I'd had all my treatment, I went on a journey to find what that meant for me. And obviously, what I'd always do, like all women generally would do when they go to a gym and someone asks you what you want to do, they'd normally say, oh, I want to lose weight. So I went on that journey first of all, and I just didn't enjoy it. You know, being put on a running machine or being put on bikes, ellipticals, it just wasn't me. And then when I was handed weights, I was like, oh, this feels absolutely incredible. And that feeling I'd never had before. And I went through various different like personal trainers. And then I was in one gym and I saw this girl lifting, and I was like, what is that? That's what I want to do. And what I know today is that was a deadlift.
Yeah.
And that was incredible. And that started me on a journey of keep on looking for the right coaches. And there was a lady from America that had come over to the UK called Kimberly Walford, a world champion powerlifter. And she was actually doing a seminar in Elephant and Castle. I saw it come up on Instagram and I just thought, oh, this must be a joke. But I booked onto it and it was genuine. And the information she was given was incredible. Yeah. And the gym that she was doing the seminar, they said that, actually, we're going to start doing powerlifting here. Would you like to join? And I went on from there. And the coaches very quickly just said, oh, actually, you're you're quite good.
Oh, really? So could you just tell us a little bit of the difference between weightlifting and powerlifting for those of us that are not? I mean, I said to you before, I used to train in Crystal Palace Sports Centre with all the Olympians because that was the only place anyone in South East London that played football that was training for the Olympics. But what's the difference?
Yeah, so powerlifting is back squat. You've got the bar on your back and you have to squat down with it. And in our federation, hips have to be below the knee. Right. And then there's bench press, which everyone's always asking about, what is your bench? So that is where you lie down on the bench and you push the bar above you. And then the final one is the deadlift, where you're picking up a bar from a dead stop and you're standing up with it.
So none of that clean and jerk and snatch?
None of that. No, that's weightlifting.
That's what we used to do.
That's weightlifting.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just been really exciting, and just seeing the amount of women as well that are coming to the sport. It's just really great. And they put out some stats this weekend, and actually, unfortunately, I don't have the numbers, but the amount of young girls now that are coming to the sport, I'm just so excited about what the future of it is going to be.
This makes me happy, though, because I find that when you go into a gym, even still now, you know, they have the weightlifting platform, the powerlifting platforms, it's still saturated by men.
Very
and I always used to feel like, even if I wanted to go and do a bench press, I still feel not as comfortable to do it. And I've played professional football my whole life, so you think I have quite a lot of confidence. You know me well enough, but like it's still like these guys are slamming down the weights, and I'm like, they don't even need to do that.
I know. It's like I want to belong, but do you know what? I would say try and look at what you're seeing in a different way. They have found like the holy grail. They've found the key. They know how good it is to lift. You want to be a part of that, and I think a lot of them would also help you if you go in there and just like, you know what you're doing. I'd like to know a bit about that. Can you show me? A lot of them will show you as well. Yeah. That's the thing that I love about my gym. I will go in there and they'll be like, Elaine, what are you doing today? Are you going to be lifting quite heavy today? Because look, I'm just over there. If you need a spot, and a spot is where people, if I'm doing a squat, for instance, someone will stand either side of the bar while I move it, just to make sure I'm safe. In case anything happens, they will be there to grab that bar with me.
Great, brilliant. And you're well now, Elaine, like you
I
said.
am very well, absolutely, yeah. So I had cancer at 30. I'm about to be 55.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Thank you very much.
Incredible.
But yeah, so I'm doing really, really well. I'm really happy about it. And that's why as well, I want people to realise that, you know, there may be some turns in the road that you're not expecting, but that you're not out. You're not, it's not over. You really can carry on, and there can be, you can, you know, re-visualise what your life can be.
And I hate for this to sound in any way like corny or cheesy, but I know you'll understand what I'm trying to say. When you try to physically strengthen yourself, you can do that through weights, but I also feel like you've got a very mentally strong mind as well.
Yes.
And that's kind of shining through at the minute.
Yeah, great, I love that. Because in powerlifting as well, so if you say to yourself, there's a weight there, do you know what, I can't lift it, you can't. But if you say, I can, then you can. You know, so you're right whether you say you can't lift it, you're right if you say you can lift it. So it really is mental. And actually, I had to do quite a lot of work on that mental part. You know, I won gold this year at British Nationals. And I had to say to myself, you deserve it. You belong there. This is you. You're going to go for it. And also that whole thing of, actually, if you are now at the top, other people are coming after you now. How do you deal with that? And actually, I've got to block that. That doesn't matter. I've just got to bring my best game on the day. I
always find that with individual sports. Like I sometimes think like I loved being part of a team, but then I also like my own time. But it's like really hard psychologically. Like I always think about tennis players, people playing golf, like powerlifting, like the mindset behind when you have to do that, like getting yourself in the zone. You haven't got your teammates like cheering you up and say, come on, Elaine.
Oh, no, but you still do. I mean, so I will still have, you know, other people that I'm competing against, you know, particularly when you're going for some of those big weights, they really want to see you lift it. So come on,
Even
Elaine,
when they're going up against you?
Even when they're coming up against you. That's what I love about powerlifting. Even when they're going up against you, they're like, I want this, I want to see this, I want to see someone move that weight. So, yeah, it's really, really exciting. I mean, even in our gym, because obviously powerlifting is an individual sport, but when we compete internationally, it's about the whole team, about what points the whole team is getting as well, and what medals the whole team will be bringing home.
Yeah.
So it is really exciting then to see other people. Definitely, you know, we've got lots of world champion powerlifters in my gym as well, lots of juniors that are coming through, world record deadlifts are there as well. And they will all be helping you as well. They're like, okay, if you're squatting today, I'm going to come over and help you. No one is too good to be helping each other or to be sharing their knowledge.
And I feel like now with the social media influence, I don't know about you guys, but timeline shows that like the strong is the new sexy. You know,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
younger generation now are so focused on being physically strong,
physically strong.
And that's brilliant. What advice would you give to anyone who's thinking, come the new year, we're at this time, aren't we, where people are going, I want to get in the gym and I want to, you know, what
Absolutely. I
advice would you
think
share?
one thing you want to think about is the longevity of your life and what that's going to look like. You know, you don't want to be the one that's sitting on your sofa and then struggling to get about. You want to be enjoying the whole of your life journey. And one of the things with powerlifting is that fact of making you strong. You have to be looking at your mobility. We're always working on our mobility, so that's always going to help your life. You know, everyone's got to be able to carry a heavy load, haven't you? Heavy shopping. You've got to be able to pick something off your shelf as well, safely. So, you know, thinking about that bench press, you've got to pick something off the ground. These are all strengths that are going to help you throughout your whole life. And actually, you're going to enjoy it so much. And there's the community aspect as well. I think that's something that people don't realise as well. It's such a great community. I will train with people that are 17, you know, 17, and we've got something in common.
Yeah.
You know, they're talking to a 55-year-old woman. We're all on the same level. You know, they're interested in seeing what I'm doing. They're passing that information as well to their mothers, to their aunties, and going, you can be doing this as well. You know, I train with Elaine at the gym and look what she's doing. You can do this.
I think it's so important for people to have yourself as role models as well, like young girls to look up to, because I always believe seeing is believing. And when I was growing up, you know, I used to look up to all the like people like David Beckham and all the guys. There wasn't, apart from the Williams sisters, there wasn't really anybody for me to aspire to be. So I think it's really important for young girls and boys as well to see people like yourself doing it.
Yeah, and in Great Britain, because I think the thing as well with powerlifting, there are so many people that are doing so well internationally that people don't know about, that are bringing home these gold medals, and people just watching now, that could be them.
Yeah.
That was me. You know, when I started to learn how to do powerlifting, I remember I used to just lie on the bench and I'd go, oh, okay. Yeah, they're calling my name. So it's Elen Jackson for Great Britain. And that's what I'd imagine. So I'm there, I'm holding the bar. I'm like, okay, Elen Jackson for Great Britain. Oh yeah, here I come. Yes.
I'm going to do that to you next show. I'm going to bench Shaban.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to use the power of the mind, like you said. I'm going to lift this table up in the air.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to lift you.
Be my guest, man.
You'd be surprised that you could do it, you know.
No, it's true. I believe in that type of stuff, the
Honestly.
power of the mind.
Yeah, the power of the mind is absolutely amazing. I made it happen. You know, I visualized it, I saw it. I had great people around me as well that believed in me as well.
Yeah.
And as I said, the community is just fantastic. So anyone that wants to do it, just go into your gym. You know, there might be a bit of an old scruffy gym that's near you and like, what's going on there? Just knock on the door, you know, go in, take a look what's going on and ask them just to show you. They're so welcoming. I was in the gym the other day and there was this, and we have strongman that also takes place in our gym, and some of the strongest
Wait, is that when
women-
they like push cars and stuff? That type of stuff?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I
the
loved
boulder,
watching that
the
when I was a
Atlas
kid.
stones.
World's
Yeah.
strongest man. I used to date him. I'm gonna...
Oh, really? Did you? I love it. And there was this girl that had come in and she said, you know, her friends are runners and things, but it's not really for her. And she wanted to do something a little different. And one of the strongmen was training there and he actually took her under his wing, showed her how to do the Atlas stone, how to do a yoke, which is where you're carrying it and walking up and down. And this girl was so strong, honestly. And we were saying to her, you're strong. And she was like, had no idea.
She had that power in her.
She had no idea. She'd got so much power and had no idea how strong she was.
Your story, Elaine, is amazing. I feel like we could just chat to you all day. Where can we learn more about you? Can we follow you on Instagram?
Oh,
or
absolutely.
TikTok?
On Instagram, I'm called Cocoa Butter Girl as well.
Oh.
So I am totally out there. I'm generally posting about some of my training or some of the championships that I'm doing as well. So if anyone wants to contact me and just learn how to lift, I'm really happy to show people how to lift.
I'll be in your
make it
DMs
safe
later.
as possible.
Cocoa Butter Girl.
Yeah, Cocoa Butter Girl.
That's exactly
Absolutely.
what and you look great and your hair's absolutely
Thank
amazing.
you.
And like we say, you've got an energy. So
Infectious personality.
yes, thank you for coming in
Thank you.
and for
Thanks for
sharing your
inviting me.
story.
Appreciate it.
And what's next for you? Have you got another championship coming up? Are you
Oh,
refereeing now, aren't you? You've got-
I know.
Oh.
I'm planning to, actually, my next is not going to be until June. I'm going to do nationals.
Okay.
But in that time, I'm going to rebuild myself even stronger.
Oh, power lifter Elen Jackson. Just when you think you couldn't get any stronger, she delivers a message like that. Elaine, thank you.
Thank you.
Leanne Sanderson, as ever, thank you very
you.
much. We'll see you again next week. Thank you very much to all of our guests today. We will be back with you very, very soon. Don't forget, we want to hear your We See You Network nominations too. All you have to do is go to the We See You Network Hub link in the description box to submit your nomination there. It would be lovely. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll see you next week.